And good evening, everybody, and welcome to Going Nuclear, full-blown coverage of the land. I am Ethan Greenberg, once again here with my co-host, Mike Rasinski. Mike, how are we doing here this evening?
Doing good considering it's the most boring sports day in all of the year since we are in the MLB All-Star break and nothing else is going on, at least live sports-wise.
Now, here's a question for you. What did you think during COVID when there was nothing on, but then all of a sudden you would have MMA? You know, they're fighting out in either in Abu Dhabi or whatever it is on a random night. I'm like, this is the best. There's nothing else to do, nothing on TV, but at least we've got that.
So did you become an MMA fan after that, or were you one already before?
I was already an MMA fan. But I'll tell you this much. What's kind of funny in the world of, I'm just going to share anytime I feel like it. I'm too old for this moment. Even like 10 years before that, we would order the pay-per-view of an MMA event, right? And I could literally fall asleep watching it. We'd be at a friend's house. I fell asleep at a friend's house on the dog bed.
That sounds like something you do in college. Well, at least the dog bed part. The falling asleep in an MMA, yeah, that's a getting too old for segment.
It is. It really is. I although in my more recent times, I've kind of figured out there were some things going on that I needed to correct for with my alertness. But still, nevertheless, if I sit still too long, there's no telling what could happen.
How did you end up in the dog bed, though?
Well, the dog bed was on the floor. It wasn't like I was in a cage. It was just lying there. It was a big dog bed. I needed a little spot for my head. There was nowhere else to sit where I could lie
comfy.
down. I'm just lying on the floor. I mean, think about it when you're a kid and you can lie down on a floor. You can lie down and go to sleep anywhere, and then you get older and it's like, oh, my aching body. Oh, I can't do this. And it's just no bueno.
Well, I'm just happy it wasn't a cage.
Yeah, there it is. There it is. So, Mike, when we left off at the conclusion of last week's show, which was fantastic, that was great to have Rob Marinero in and talk a lot of Kent State soccer. But I left you in my Going Nuclear segment speaking about the situation with my son Jacob's trumpet at band camp. And I am on one hand sad to report part and happy to report in part. So I'll start with the bad part. The bad part is that basically the parent of this other student was like, well, he doesn't know what happened. He doesn't know what happened. So blah, blah. So they're basically tough luck. I'm like, are you kidding me? This is what you teach your child. Like, just because you do something accidentally, which is the proximate cause of the damage, they shouldn't be responsible for it. So that ticks me off. And it's just a bigger problem in the picture, in the grand scheme of things. On the positive side of things, the band instructor, my son's middle school band instructor, was kind enough. They had somebody had donated a trumpet, and it's an oldie but a goodie, and he gave that to us to use and said, "You keep that." So Jacob is not without an instrument as he heads to 9th grade in less than a month here. But it's just a bit discouraging that this is the way people act. So I know it was a cliffhanger, and I wanted to bring this full circle, let everybody know what was going on in that very exciting story. But,
well, I'm glad we have conclusion to it. I'm sad that that's the way it ended. But
yes.
Being a trumpet player myself in high school, I am glad your son has a trumpet to play.
All right, so here's the next thing. We're going to get you and Jacob on, and we're going to have you play the, let's see, what is it? The Tommy or Timmy trumpet?
How about we'll do the Kent State fight song?
I think we need to work on that. Let's get some sheet music. Let's go.
All right.
Let us go. We're going to work on that. It'll be a big feature. Big feature. All right. Now that I have gotten way off course, let's get down to the business here. Mike, what's happened in the land? We have had the MLB All-Star game. we have had the MLB draft, and quite frankly, we are in the dead of summer, and we should be talking Guardians first and foremost. Mike, what are your thoughts regarding the Guardians MLB draft this year? Travis Bazana, anybody else that really kind of pops out in your mind?
Yeah, so it was an exciting weekend because we had the draft and the number one pick for the first time ever, in addition to the All Star game. I know everybody was suspenseful. If you were reading into this, on would they go with one of the top two consensus picks, either Condon from Georgia, Bazana from Oregon State, or they try to go with one of these outsiders, save some slot money so they can sign some guys later. So I don't know about you, but I was relieved to see that they got Bazana. I would have been happy with him or Condon. And Bazana seems like the complete package for a hitter. And I think it's somebody that we can work into whatever position we need. And if he can jump to the majors, in 2 years or so, I could see him at second base, and then we can move Jimenez to shortstop because that's been a hole for us recently. So I'm happy with that pick. And then the other stat that I'll throw out there is, of the 21 picks we had, 16 pitchers, two infielders, two catchers, and one outfielder. So 16 pitchers. That's obviously something that stands out. Our number two pick, which was a competitive balance round A, so right after the first round, was a high school pitcher. So, somebody that could hopefully rise up through the system, but I don't think we'll see results from that for another 4 to 5 years. But starting pitching, that seems to be a weakness for us right now, so I can see why they did that. It mimics the draft they had, I think it was 2 years ago, where every single pick was a pitcher.
Right. And it's an arms race. It really is. And we are going to see that play out kind of as we progress through the second half of this season. And overall in the major leagues, the fact that there is so little pitching to be had, pitching especially, that the Guardians trying to build and bolster for the future and find their next ace, which they seem to have a way with doing. I just, it's amazing the guys that they have turned out from their farm system and turned them into Cy Young Award winners. Just incredible the history that we've really had. I mean, if you start looking all the way back to Bartolo and CC
Yep.
and Cliff Lee, and Kluber and Bieber,
Bieber. Yep.
just an amazing run of talent for pitchers. So all of that kind of being put into perspective, you talked about how soon are we going to see somebody like Travis Bazana that we just selected out of Oregon State. Bazana is a second baseman. Where would we see him? How can they convert him to? Would they put him at second base? Would they move Jimenez over to short? That is yet to be seen. But I went through the draft picks from about the number one draft picks, that is, from the past 20 years. Now, amazingly enough, we just saw last night in the All-Star game for the National League, Pittsburgh Pirates starting pitcher Paul Skeens, who was last year's number one pick, already in the majors and having a tremendous impact. He looked pretty tough there. I had heard the name, but I don't know that I'd watched much of his action, if any at all. So I saw him out there, and he looks like he could be tough and intimidating, force. What they say, 6'6" for Paul Skeens. That's crazy. Now you're
And he
starting to
seems
talk.
legit.
He does. He's got some work to do, and that's even crazier because he's going to get better. He's going to get better. But I looked at about the last 20 years of number one draft pick position players to try and get an idea of where are they now? When did they first make their major league debut and what, kind of their impact? So if I mention somebody of these guys, let me mention them. You tell me your impression. So Justin Upton in 2005, a shortstop for the Diamondbacks, his first appearance in the majors, 2007 season, 43 games. 2008, Tim Beckman, a shortstop for the Tampa Bay, for the Tampa Rays. That he made his first appearance. It wasn't until 2013. Now I don't know if certain things happened in the meantime, so I should apologize and preface some of this that I don't know, like the fact that there were 5 years there before he reached the majors, if there were any issues. However, I will say that in 2017, he played 137 games between two different teams. Then 2010, and this is where I'm like, okay, yeah, this was a no-brainer, and I recognize this draft pick, Bryce Harper, obviously phenomenal. He went to the Nationals, and he reached the majors in 2012, so 2 years after being drafted, and he appeared in 139 games. So right there, I mean, that seems to be a little bit of the exception, not the rule. 2012, Carlos Correa, shortstop, drafted by the Astros, 99 games in 2015. So it took 3 seasons to get up. Dansby Swanson, a shortstop for the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks apparently like drafting shortstops with their number 1 pick in the draft, don't they now?
Apparently.
But he appeared in 38 games, but it was with the Braves in 2016. They probably just figured, hey, we can, at that juncture, they traded him and got some value, but it didn't take him long to make it to the majors, even with another team. Mickey Moniak of the Phillies, 8 games in an outfielder, 8 games for the Phillies in 2020. So it took him four years and only appeared in 8 games. Royce Lewis, a shortstop for the Twins in 2017 draft. He appeared first in 2022 in 12 games. Adley Rutschman, he is playing very well for the Orioles. I believe he was an all-star.
Mm-hmm.
The catcher, he appeared, so that was drafted in 2019, 113 games in 2022. Spencer Torkelson for the Tigers, third baseman. Well, he's back down at Toledo. He has fallen off. But he appeared in 110 games for the Tigers in 2022, so he took 2 years. Henry Davis, a catcher for the Pirates, 62 games in 2023, and he was a 2021 pick. And finally, 2022, Jackson Holliday for the Orioles. He appeared in 10 games this season. He was batting 059. He couldn't even see the Mendoza line. So I guess for me, based upon that, it seems like maybe, and I heard Andre not discuss this, it might be a couple of years before we get to see Travis playing at Progressive Field. And who knows what could change between now and then. Where do I guess, what would be your ideal trajectory for Travis Bazzana?
All right, let me throw this at you. I don't think it's going to happen, but I could plausibly see the Guards doing this because they're a creative team. All right, so right now, what's one of our biggest weaknesses, position player wise? And we kind of mentioned it, shortstop. I would say it's a black hole on offense. Defense, Rocchio is actually pretty good, but we've had Rocchio and Arias are been our 2 main shortstops. I mean, we've just recently been playing Schneemann there just to get some kind of offensive production over there. But Arias is hitting 222. Rocchio's hitting 210. They each have 3 homers each. And their OPS is actually both identical at 608. So well below average for what a shortstop should be producing. All right, so if that's a black hole, if Schneemann doesn't work out, well, he's doing better. What if we brought up Bazzana in time for the playoff run, put him at second base, and like I said, moved Jimenez to shortstop because he was a natural shortstop coming up. Now, if Bazzana proves to be better than a 220 hitter and has a little bit of power, which he had at Oregon State, wouldn't that be like trading for a shortstop at the trade deadline, but we're using our number 1 pick for it?
I'm all for it. I think that would be a fantastic move. Now, I'd start to wonder or start to look into the farm system to see what we've got there, to see if there's anybody else that they haven't yet called up. We've seen Tana. We've seen Rodriguez. We've seen Manzardo, a bunch of guys. Angel Martinez has been very good. We haven't seen Brito. And I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, is it your recollection that Juan Brito is a middle infielder? I could be incorrect on that, but I'm hoping that my brain is working properly here. He is a shortstop. So is that a possibility that he could be make an appearance? Currently, he's not great so far. In 2024, he's hitting 251 with 84 hits, 13 homers, 54 runs batted in, and 6 stolen bases. What say you there?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. We have a bunch of middle infield prospects right now. I don't know how we're gonna sort through who is the heir apparent there at shortstop, if any of them, because the more at bats they get, the more I don't know, the more disappointing a lot of these guys look. They have like little lightning in a bottle when they first come up, and then they seem to fizzle out. It seems to be for all these guys. So I'm not
Yes.
quite sure how you cipher through them, especially when we're coming up the end of the season and we need to pick somebody for the playoffs. Now, another reason they probably won't go with the this little path I laid out is it would start his service time, I'm sure, and there's all these other things that go into it that I don't know all the rules for it, but there's all these other implications that they probably don't want to start his clock, and he'll have less options to go up and down from the
Right.
minors to the
Right.
majors and all that. But I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I'm sure they'll put him in a good year or low A, at the end of this year to see how he does, and if he starts tearing it up, who knows?
Yeah, definitely. And again, I heard Andre not talking about this, that they might start him up at like high A. So I believe high A would be Lake County, right?
Yeah, I believe
With
you're right.
Lake County, you get him to Akron and Columbus and such. Who knows? You never know. All these things are crazy. We really don't know what's going to happen. As you said, they are catching these guys for a few games here and there, lightning in a bottle. And that's something that really the Guardians need. They have got to keep finding the right pieces and hope somebody can not just catch the lightning in a bottle. Hopefully, they can catch the whole freaking thunderstorm in the bottle and be able to stick around for a little while. Because they went into the All-Star break and kind of shifting around here from the draft talk, looking at how they went into the All-Star break, they lose 3 of 4 at Detroit. The game that they had let's see, the player from that they picked up from the Giants pitching was miserable. By the end, you've got Austin Hedges pitching.
Two scoreless innings, by the way. Go
Amazing.
Hedgie.
Amazing. I love it. Love that guy. He's a great, he is really a good clubhouse guy. But they lose 3 of 4 to Detroit. And for whatever reason, the Guardians are having trouble in the division. Now, I listened to the broadcast, and as part of the broadcast, they were talking about AJ Hinch, the manager of Detroit, being like, look, we're not going to be their punching bag. And kind of really put it to the team to not allow them to get beat up by their division opponents. And then they go to Tampa and they get blanked a couple of games, and they had to hold on for dear life and go to extra innings in the other, where they were leading 6-0 early in the ball game and end up having to win it in extras 9-8. So they kind of went in a little bit, with some fumes. They were sputtering a little bit. And it's not unique to just the Guardians, because clearly a lot of the other top teams around the major leagues, American League, National League, were struggling as well. But there is some concern. I don't think it's hyperbole to say that there's a little bit of a reason for concern. You're hoping that they are not coming back down to earth and that suddenly 2023 offense is going to return. What have you seen or makes you think that that's not going to be the case?
Yeah, a couple reasons. One, like you said, we're not the only team that kind of went into the All-Star break on a down note. The Orioles were 3-7 in their last 10. The Yankees were 4-6. We were 4-6. The Twins were only 6-4, even though they're creeping up on us. So, I mean, that wasn't even great. So I think that kind of shows that I think it's just, part of the season. Everybody goes through losing streaks. All right, number 2, they haven't had a losing streak greater than 3 games this year. And I think they're the only team to not lose more than 3 in a row this year. So they are able to turn it around. However they do it, they've been able to do it. The third thing I'll say is that they have played the fewest home games of any team. So they actually have 40 home games left, and they are the best team at home with a 30-11 record, the best winning percentage at home of any team. They have 40 home games left. You have the Twins that only have 36 home games left. Yankees have 37, Orioles have 29, and the Royals have 32. So we have more home than away games. That's going to help us. And then the fourth thing I'll say is the Guards are, even though they have a tough schedule left, and we can get to that in a second, they are one of only 3 American League teams that have a winning record against teams with a winning record. The other 2 are the Orioles and the Yankees. So that means the Twins are creeping up on us, have lost more than they've won. They have a losing record against teams above 500. We have a winning record. And then the last thing I'll jump in here, and I know you'll probably want to talk about this too, is we looked up the remaining schedule strength for the rest of the year.
Yes.
And Cleveland has the second hardest at 523, that their opponents have a 523 winning percentage.
Correct.
Minnesota is the 7th hardest with a 511 winning percentage. But if you look at that, that's really not too far apart. What we're saying is both Cleveland and Minnesota have a hard road to go, and 8 of their games are against each other. So I honestly think it's going to come to the head-to-head matchups between the Guards and the Twins. So all of that, everything I said, has me confident that we can win the Central.
I like the confidence there. That is definitely good to hear. I need to hear it myself because I think I've been so jaded over the years of watching teams kind of fall apart and be so concerned about that. I've heard people talk about don't fan scared. Well, I think I've got reason to fan scared. I mean,
you're from Cleveland, of course you do.
Exactly. We have seen some bad things happen, and I guess really the Guardians need to get out to a strong start. As you said, they do have the best home record in Major League Baseball. Amazingly enough, I was going to bring this up. I saw the graphic. The Guardians in 41 home dates have drawn in over 1 million fans in attendance. That's the first time, I believe, since 2009 that they've accomplished that. This, I guess, this early in the season. So that's pretty impressive. And they've definitely got a good home field advantage going for them here. And I think that, as we come out of the All-Star break, it is going to be vitally important for the Guardians to take care of business against the Padres and the Tigers. They've got 7 games, and they really need to win those because then they got to go to Philadelphia for a 3-game set at the end of the month. And that's not going to be an easy task, as Philadelphia is a very good team. I believe, did they have the best record in the majors? I know we've been kind of going back and forth here with Philadelphia for the best record. It looks like Philadelphia is a 646 winning percentage. So they are ahead of the Guardians. They do, in fact, have the best record, and the Guardians have the second best. So it is going to be one heck of a remainder of the summer. And hopefully we've got some magic coming our way in October.
Now let me throw one more stat at you. I just did some
Gotcha.
quick math here. So we have 66 games left. If we just go 500 the rest of the way, we win 33 more games. That's a 91 win season. So could 91 wins get you in the playoffs? I mean, and that would be, I think
definitely.
Yeah. So that gives me confidence as well.
Yeah, it'll definitely get you in the playoffs. I guess the question here is this. I don't want just to get into the playoffs. They have now set the bar higher. If you told me at the beginning of the season that we're going to be talking about playoff baseball, I'd have been like, you're out of your mind. There's no way. Now I've seen it. I've seen they can do this. And barring them completely falling off the cliff, they better make the playoffs. I want them to win this division. You've got to win the division.
And get a top 2 seed so you don't have to play in the wild
Absolutely.
card round.
Yeah, absolutely. So did you get to watch much of the All-Star game?
Yeah, All-Star game and the home run derby.
Yeah,
And the national anthem preceding the
oh
home run
my
derby.
goodness. All right, let me ask you, because I'll give you my thought, what I was thinking. I want to know, what were you thinking and what was going through your mind as the national anthem was being sung on the night of the home run derby?
So I didn't know who the singer was.
Right.
You could tell it was awful from the start. I thought maybe she was trying to do too much and just improvise how you sing it, and it just wasn't going well. Later we found out that she says she was drunk and had to go to rehab. So I feel bad for her. That's not how
Yeah.
you really want to show yourself on national TV. But it was, in the moment, you could tell it was bad.
Oh, that was horrific. That was on the level of all-time worst national anthem performances by people who are actually expected to do well. I mean, they were playing, and I remember, the infamous Carl Lewis national anthem. That was horrific, but he's not a singer.
Right.
Roseanne Barr was a joke, but she's not a
Yeah.
singer. So there have been people who have tried to do the national anthem who clearly should not have been doing it, and it's not really their thing. When I started to watch it, I'm like, whoa, this is horrific. I thought she was, but I was like, oh, she's just some person they got, maybe a local. She's singing, oh, no biggie, whatever. Then I found out she's like a 4-time Grammy Award winner. And then you get the news that apparently, as she said, she was intoxicated and did, in fact, check into rehab. Let's hope that she's able to get straightened out, because it's just it's really sad to see people go down that path. It's sad to see people who have a lot of talent go down that path and waste it. It really is. It's hard enough, for people to succeed, and then to have that and not be able to get over those demons is really tough. So watching the home run derby, what were your impressions of the home run derby in the new format?
I'll tell you, my first thought that I had was, I hope Jose doesn't get hurt. I hope he doesn't pull an
Yes,
oblique or something, because they are
exactly.
swinging so hard and so often. I could see how you can easily pull an oblique or something that doesn't heal for like 6 to 8 weeks. You should tell they're getting exhausted at the end. The
Definitely.
format, besides that, I thought the format was pretty entertaining. I don't like the head to head in the second round though. I wish they would just go with 2-3 rounds how they did it, but then the top 2 just move on instead of going head to head. I thought that would have been more fair. But what were
Right.
your thoughts?
Well, I think that I'm going to show my antiquated side, my old side. I like the old school. I like where you had X number of outs. You had 10 outs,
Sure.
and that was it. It does go on for a long time, and maybe that's to the detriment of these players. Like, I like the fact that there is a clock, so they can't just stand around and take forever. But I mean, think about the home run derbies that we watched when we were growing up. Maybe like Mark McGuire, Sammy Sosa, Ken Griffey Jr. I mean, just sure Barry Bonds had to have been in a few. I mean, just amazing home run derbies that we would have watched when we were growing up. But it was really good. I was not sad in that Chris Berman, he wasn't on the broadcast, at least on the TV side, and I'm not upset about that. I mean, the shtick, the back, was awesome for a long time, but I think it's kind of gotten beyond that. And the presentation was pretty good. I actually turned it over to the Stat Tracker broadcast because I like the view better on that broadcast than I did on the regular one. So, but it was good in general. I will tell you this. So, turning to the All Star game, I watched more Major League Baseball All Star game yesterday. I think I watched about 2 innings. I watched 2 at bats so that I could see Quan and Jose bat. I watched 2 innings of the All Star game. That is more MLB All Star game being watched by me last night than probably in the decade before combined.
Yeah, it was entertaining. Do you remember when they had the winner of the All-Star game, then got home field advantage for the
Yes.
World Series, but then that screwed some of the players playing because the managers had to save some folks in the back end if the game was close. So, do you like how they do it now, where it's meaningless, but it was entertaining enough that you actually got to watch a couple innings?
I'll say this much, and other people are having this discussion. It at least was competitive. It at least was competitive. And guys, I know that they're not running full out and going to injure themselves, but it was still competitive. We got to see Emmanuel. Let's turn our focus here a little bit. So first of all, I think it was all right. I did like when there was some meaning to the game, though, when it decided, because as you recall, 95 Indians had the best record. Did they host the World Series? Nope. Because it alternated. But then, and 97, did they host? I pretty sure they had a better record than the Marlins. Did they host? Nope. And so I like the fact that there was some kind of something at stake in the game, and it wasn't just this alternating baloney. I think that now it's really based on best record because everybody gets to. It's not just that couple of interleague series. So ultimately, it was all right. To me, my opinion, the uniforms were putrid.
Yeah, they were awful.
I'm like, that is doo-doo brown. That is someone I heard somebody refer to it looked like ballpark mustard brown. It was horrible. I'm like, what are you? I'm like, look, just come on. And they're really, it's a marketing thing. It's a merchandising thing. All they want to do is sell people going to the game. They want to sell them this merchandise, all-star stuff with your player, the player you support with their name on the back of it or whatever. But I feel like it would be better to go back to everybody wears the home team wears their home whites with, uniform and maybe has a patch on it. The road wears their road grays. I'm a traditionalist. I'm a traditionalist. Now, tell me this, as I'm an old man here. Do you remember the actual television home run derby program in black and white that used to be on? And obviously it was before our time, but they would show the replays of it.
No, that one's escaping me. You'll have to fill me in on that.
They would, they would have it seemed like it must have been about a weekly show, but they'd have guys on and they'd be facing off head to head in home run derbies. And it was like X number of innings and maybe you had 3 outs. It was interesting. It was a very interesting program. Okay. So for the Guardians, I would say it was a successful all-star game.
I agree.
David Fry, maybe this will kickstart him and get him rolling again as we head to the second half. We really need that. He has been vitally important. Obviously, we've had nights in recent weeks where our best players are going over, and that's just not going to be yield the results that we want, especially if our pitching is kind of struggling.
Yes.
So, but Clase with the save, and David Fry with an RBI. So
it's good. And I will say the MLB All-Star game is still better than the football and basketball All-Star games.
100%. The NBA All-Star game is out of control. It's completely useless, and I'm glad that the NFL finally replaced the Pro Bowl. And I know they do these other things, and even that, I'm out. It should be an honorary thing, which gives you some kind of a bonus.
Yeah.
You're playing in too physical of a sport to be doing this for nothing.
I will say the one thing I like about the football's Pro Bowl over basketball and baseball, at least theirs is at the end of the season. Really, for
Gotcha.
baseball and basketball, it's a half season award. Like how good did you do during the first half season? You could tank, the rest of the season, and you're still going to be
Right.
considered an all-star for the year. David Fry could go back to normal David Fry, and he's still an all-star for 2024. I hope that doesn't happen, but you get what I'm saying.
I do. I do hear you on that one. So there is going to be a lot of excitement here for the Guardians as we proceed here, and things will get back underway this weekend, Friday night at Carnegie and Ontario, as the Guardians will host the Padres for 3, and then follow it up with a 4-game set with the Motor City Kitties and try and return the favor to Detroit after they kind of beat us up a little bit up there in Motown.
Can I throw in one more
You go for it.
draft related Guardians stat that I just looked up this week, and
You got it,
I
man.
spent too much time looking it up, so I figure I got to throw it in the show.
Absolutely.
And I know a lot of times we look back at the drafts and we say, oh, in 2019 we had 20 players and only 2 of them are in the majors. What happened to the other 18? Well, I wanted to take a different approach, so I took our 40-man roster and looked up where these guys were drafted to kind of see, are there any diamonds in the rough? Or they all come from the first round or whatnot? So what I found was and not all of everybody on our 40-man roster was drafted. A lot of them were international signees. So the players this isn't going to add up to 40. But what I found of our 40-man roster, we have 4 first rounders, 4 second rounders, 1 third rounder, 3 fourth rounders, 3 fifth rounders, 1 sixth, 1 seventh, 1 eighth, and 3 guys that were drafted later than 8th. So I would have thought we would have found some more diamonds in the rough, but it turns out most of these guys were drafted in the top 8 rounds. So it shows, I guess, how good the scouting department is. A couple, the 3 guys that were drafted later, though, we have my new favorite player, just because of where he's coming from, Daniel Schneemann, 2018, drafted in the 33rd round, pick 1003. And as a, what is he, like 27, 28-year-old making his MLB debut?
Right.
We have Tim Herron, also drafted in 2018, round 29, pick 883. He's coming out of the bullpen with a 145 ERA.
Amazing.
So legit. And then we have Cade Smith from 2017, a 16th round pick 466, a 228 ERA. So two guys there that are like key cogs of this, this current team. They're picked in the 16th and 29th round, which we don't even have a 29th round anymore. And then we got guys like Austin Hedges, who's drafted in the 2nd round. So yeah, you never know how these things can turn out. Just some things that I thought were very interesting that I wanted to throw out there.
No, I appreciate it, and that is good information and research. Clearly, we are banking a lot on Logan Allen, as you noted a 2nd round pick number 56. Tanner Bybee certainly proved to be very valuable and quality. Let's hope he's kind of scuffling a little bit. We need these guys to return to form, especially our pitching staff, and hopefully they were able to get a little bit of a break, both physically and mentally.
Yes.
So we got that going for us.
And I'm hoping that Tristan McKenzie and Logan Allen, since we have, a lead in the Central, that they have time to fix themselves and get back and be the pitchers we need them to be for the playoffs. And that could be a huge factor right now. Like, for example, the Twins have no room to send their starters down to work on AAA. The nice thing about having a 4.5 game cushion is we can kind of do that and then get them ready for the playoffs.
Oh, definitely. I mean, but right now McKenzie is looking the not so good. I don't know how the best way to say it is. He's getting lit up in Columbus.
Yeah. I'm hoping that he's working on some specific things, and that's causing him to get lit up.
Yeah,
I don't know. We'll see.
We shall see. And then the question is really going to be, ultimately, does he end up needing to have the surgery anyway?
Yep.
And will that ultimately result in everything else coming back around once you've got that repaired and the confidence to throw the way you need to throw and had been throwing prior to the injury? Yet to be determined, obviously. So we will see. And as you and I commented just on a closing note here about the MLB draft, I'm glad that Condon went to the National League because he wouldn't torture us, for years on end. But then you pointed out that the was it Caglione from
Mm-hmm.
Florida went to the Royals, correct?
Yeah.
That could be issuage.
Yes. That could haunt us. We'll see.
We shall see. All right. So moving along here, you know, the other things going on around Cleveland for the Cavs, we are in the midst of the off season. We've got a coach. We got through the draft. We got Mitchell, re-signed, extended, whatever. And the summer league is going on right now. Game tonight, after I think 10 o'clock they play the Warriors or later. Too late for me. I might catch a minute or something, but forget it. But for the Cavs, one of the interesting pieces that has been discussed by the fans has been what are they going to do with the makeup of the roster? Because the moves that the Cavs can actually make from the perspective of do we have any assets? Do we have any players? Do we have any draft picks that we can move around? Do we have any cap space? It's all been very difficult. But it appears that they're betting on themselves. They're like, all right, we know what the problem was. We got it. We got this. Here's the problem. It was JB. That's it. It's all him. It's all him. So we're going to go with Kenny Atkinson, and we think that's going to fix all that ails us. It appears that all four of the quote-unquote core four are going to be back. Darius Garland's people, Rich Paul, his agent, Clutch Sports, it was rumored or had been said that if Donovan Mitchell extends, Darius, they're going to request a trade. That hasn't happened. And apparently they caught up to him. I think Chris Fedor did out in Las Vegas, caught up to him and essentially said, those are just rumors. I don't want to be traded. So here's my question to you, Mike. Do you think that this was a situation where Garland always felt this way? Or was it simply that he changed his tune? He was quiet about it, didn't say anything, changed his tune as the market kind of changed and realized, hey, I don't really have anywhere to go. There's not going to be a good fit. Or was this just, his agent talking out of turn?
I'll tell you what. I'm just happy he's not pulling a Kyrie Irving and threatening to have knee surgery or be traded. I think, honestly, he doesn't have a lot of leverage with the way he played last season and the contract he has. He has zero leverage. So I think it was probably his agent doing agenty things and trying to position himself in the public eye and position himself with the Cavs front office to do what's best for him. It doesn't strike me as he's the kind of guy that would request a trade. And even if he did, I'm glad he did it behind the scenes and didn't put it out front and, didn't create disharmony, disunion with the Cavs, because I think, I hate to say this, but I think it may be able to work with him and Mitchell. A good coach should be able to figure out how to make that work.
Exactly. So, and I think that's what we've got to see from Atkinson. You have to get the most. We talked about this. You've got to maximize your talent. And to me, they didn't have at all. There were times it was like, you got everybody out there healthy. Why can't you make it? Why is this not working? What is the problem? Is the strategy terrible? Are the players simply not listening? Any way you slice it, if the strategy is terrible or the players aren't listening, then you've got to change the voice to see if you can get a better strategy and or you get the players to listen and buy in. Um, I would love to see, I think we talked about this. I know that Garland is ball dominant as well as Mitchell. I'd love to see him be able to turn into more of a guy who can also catch and shoot and doesn't need to have the ball as much. He's got a good shot. They need to take advantage of that. And then we're also, of course, going to be talking about the need for Mobley to uh, improve his jumpers and get more consistent with that, quicker release, etc. Um, have you had an opportunity to watch any of the summer league at all? I got to catch a game the other day, I think on Sunday afternoon. If so, what'd you think?
No, so I haven't watched them. I've just seen the scores. It's been a blowout loss one game and a blowout win the next.
Right.
So I've read the reports. It sounds like from what I've heard, Bates is doing well. Has put on
Yes.
like 20 something pounds of muscle over the off season, and so I'd like to see him develop and be a key cog for the Cavs this year. He might be a
Definitely.
key contributor. So yeah, happy to see that. What were your impressions since you actually got to watch a couple games?
I got to watch it. Well, I did not. I'm going to be, forthright here. I did not see game number one. I don't even know if it was on. It was on at a wackadoodle time, and I just didn't catch it. But I did catch some of the action on, I believe, Sunday afternoon, as they were whooping up on Milwaukee, and I was really watching and enjoying watching DJ Burns
Hmm.
at the end of the game, because at that point they were kicking the crud out of Milwaukee, and I think call me crazy. I would love to see that guy somehow get to stick around the Cavs organization, where they can get him into slightly better condition. And I think that's going to come. He's dropped 45 pounds since college, but he's a beast and he's got a nice touch. He really does. I saw him with some nice jumpers. He could set a mean screen too. Let me tell you what. You ain't getting around that brick wall. He's like an offensive tackle. Set that guard up for a shot. Man, Donovan Mitchell can stand there, read the newspaper. Well, no one reads the newspaper anymore, because they're too old for that. But they're, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, the point being, I want to see him do well. And I think you're right. Amani Bates is certainly somebody that you would love to see become a rising star and really step up for the Cavs because he's got length. He's got the length, and there were signs when he was in high school. There were talks about him maybe being a one and done in college, being a number one draft pick, and it didn't work out that way. But he certainly resurrected things at Eastern Michigan, and I hope he gets a shot. I hope he gets more time with the big boys and not so much down for the charge in the G League. That monster jam, was that Zaire Smith?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Wow, for the love of humanity. That was he send it in, Jerome, as onions, as Bill Raftery would say. Okay. Who do you is the most annoying national announcer?
Mm. Oh man. Who's the if we're not gonna just stick with basketball, who's uh who's the guy from Fox Sports? Buck?
Oh, Joe. Well, formerly,
Joe.
Joe.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, formerly.
That's who'd get my vote. Top of the head here. Uh
Okay. Okay.
I just remember the 2016 World Series, I think, when he was announcing that, just giving the
Oh
Indians
my
zero
gosh.
credit.
Well, you know who did that in 1997? Bob
Who?
Costas.
Oh, wow,
He
that's a
was
good memory.
all over Levon Hernandez because he came over on a boat. He was a refugee. Shut up. I'm sick of this.
Right.
I'm sick of this, man. I'll tell you what. Um, no, I mean, and the reason I bring that up as I was going into my Bill Raftery is that my in-laws are not fans. They're down in Carolina, and in as much as they follow the basketball, they're more toward Duke, rooting for Duke than North Carolina per se, but nevertheless, they see the national games. They're not fans of Raftery. I love Raftery. They don't like Dick Vitale, and I get it. And I get it. He can be kind of annoying, baby. Oh, diaper dandy. It's a bit much. It's a bit of this, bit of the shtick. And I'll tell you, my guy, that of the main headliners on national sports, the one that drives me nuts is Gus Johnson.
I could see that.
He drives me absolutely bonkers. Perhaps it's because the Buckeyes have been getting their butts kicked for 3 years in a row to that team up north. But overall, I'm kind of over him. I liked him a while back, maybe when he was doing like basketball on CBS. I loved him. A big fan of Kevin Harlan. Harlan's a good dude. He's very good. So I digress there. So the Cavs, they've got a game tonight. See what they do and see how they progress. No news on Isaac Okoro. They made the qualifying offer, $11.8 million. And as far as I've been able to read, he has not signed that yet. So it remains to be seen what happens there and how big of a piece to the puzzle is Okoro for his defense.
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know. Would we really miss him if he left? Could somebody else step in and do the same job?
I think so. I think it's easier to replace him than others, because a lot of what you saw from him, you didn't see in the numbers. You didn't see in the statistics because it was defense. It was being a good lockdown defender. I'm not going to say I don't like him on the team, but if he were to go, I wouldn't. My feelings wouldn't be hurt. I guess where I'd go with that. So moving along here, the Browns. What are we about? Like a week away, a week away from mini camp, and they're going to head down or training camp, and they're going to head down to the Greenbrier. Is this not unbelievable that we are a month away from the start of football season, high school, college, professional football? Where has the time gone? It's crazy. Are you as kind of shocked by how fast time is going by here, and that we're really talking about this?
Yeah, I'm excited. And actually, my 11-year-old, he keeps asking me how many days till the Browns play. When's their opener? I'm like, a month and a half left. We're almost there. So he's getting excited. We're getting excited in the Rasinski household. So yeah, I'm ready for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we got the good news this week. Best news ever. We found our kicker. Hopefully.
And if he falters, we have Cade York.
Oh God, no! He doesn't qualify because of that ridiculous mustache. Gotta go. The 70s called. They want it back. 70s porn called. They want your mustache back. All right. That's how
the new style. That's as you're getting too old for that too.
That's the new style. Oh dear Lord. No, I'd tell Jacob, I'm like, look, you got to get rid of the peach fuzz. I'm gonna get you the shaving cream, the razor blade. Let's take
now. If we're going down this rabbit hole, did you see that picture from I think it was Tennessee in the College World Series?
Oh, I didn't.
Oh, look him up. Just Google mustache college player Tennessee. I'm sure it'll come up your first hit.
All right,
it's incredible.
Okay, I'm going to pull that up while we're talking about it here. But Dustin Hopkins rescued the Browns last year in a trade with the LA Chargers. Thank you very much, because Cade York had lost it. He had absolutely lost it. And Dustin Hopkins came in and really saved the Browns' butt. He signs an extension through 2027. 50. Are you talking about Kirby Connell? He's got the Raleigh Fingers handlebar mustache. Beauty. Love it.
Yeah, that's the guy.
Nice. Hey, that's skills right there. Now, see, that's a better mustache. The little thin pencil, like, I don't know if I can grow one mustache. That's where I draw the line. I got some issue with that. You're gonna have. My dad had a mustache while we were growing up. You got to have strong mustache game. Okay.
Yeah.
So, Dustin Hopkins, 3-year extension, $15.9 million. I think the guaranteed part is in the $8 million range, and his 5.3 average per year, 5.3 million per year, puts him ties for fifth in the league among kickers. Um, Last year, okay, do you know the stats from last year?
Go through them. They're
All
worth
right,
repeating.
33 of 36 on field goals last year, including 8 of 8 from beyond 50. And he was 24 of 26 on extra points. I wasn't scared when he went out there to kick. I have been scared ever since Phil Dawson left.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it was Austin Seibert or Zane Gonzalez or Cade York or Billy Cundiff on more than one occasion, I was always worried about what was going to happen. Um, and I think it's going to be important, especially with the new kickoff rules. It's valuable. Special teams should not be discounted in their role and importance. How many games did we win last year with walk-off winners that we would have lost in years prior?
Yeah, as long as he doesn't pull another hamstring, I think we're good.
Yeah, at this juncture, I think the rule of thumb for him needs to be: look, if the game is not on the line, if someone gets by our everybody else and is racing for a touchdown, do not go after them. That is not your job. Like, we don't need you to be hurt. You're more valuable to us than stopping one touchdown return.
I think he kicks the ball and he runs directly to the sideline.
Oh,
Even
that's
before
so
the
true.
ball lands, just go to the sideline, sit down on the bench.
I got to
We'll
tell
play
you,
with 10.
I am waiting. I really guess I need to watch a little bit of XFL film footage to try and get a better idea of what is going to happen with the new kickoff rules, to get a bit of an idea of how that's going to work. Um,
Well,
Seems
everything I've read, they said the kicker's probably going to have to make more tackles than they're used to with this new rule.
Yeah, that's I don't know. So there's probably going to be some kickoff returns. Some of those records that we thought were never going to be broken for career returns and number of returns might in fact get broken. Wouldn't Josh Cribbs be salivating? Wouldn't
Oh,
Devin Hester be salivating?
yeah. Well, all
Give me
these
some
records,
Metcalf.
they'll have to have an asterisk though, because they changed the rules.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Asterisk. Definitely. Um, we haven't heard much from Deshaun Watson all summer, other than what he's been posting on social media, which some folks um, have taken offense to, whether it was him participating in a trip or whatever to Saudi Arabia and posting photos from that. He's getting tattoos. He's going to Paris. He's doing this, but I've seen a lot of other guys doing all kinds of stuff, and it's vacation. You do what you got to do. They had the 7-on-7 tournament, high school Deshaun Watson Foundation today. Um, Sounds like, and from what I read, the questions to him were kind of like, "Are you going to be ready to go for start a training camp?" And he said, "Yeah, it'll be a full go." So I think that we can maybe allay some of our concerns there about whether or not he is going to be healthy. That doesn't preclude us from asking about the quote rust factor, but I'm feeling positive about that. Um, how do you feel going into year number 3 of the Deshaun Watson experience?
Well, I have a question for you. Did he post on social media anywhere himself on an inflatable swan in a Las Vegas pool?
Oh, I think no.
No. So okay, so that makes me happy. So
Oh, okay.
we're not there. So that he's at least a little bit more responsible than one of our other starting quarterbacks.
Right, right, right.
Um, so I'm a little heartened by the fact that we have, I think, two good backups in case he's not ready or in case he gets hurt. I'm gonna try to be the optimist here and go with, before he was traded to the Browns, he was the most accurate passer in like NFL history with however many, pass
Right.
attempts. I don't think that just goes away. At least I hope it doesn't go away. I'm hoping these last 2 years were the knocking off of the rust, so this year he can actually get after it. But we'll see. I mean, that's kind of been the missing piece of these last 2 years. We're gonna have a tough schedule, so
A
I'm
very, very
cautiously optimistic.
Yep, I know that, and we are going to have to follow and keep an eye on our picks for this season to see how we end up doing when we had no idea how things were gonna shake out and the landscape of the division, etc. When the schedule came out and we made our picks, it'll certainly be interesting to see what actually happens this season. Um, I know that it's become rampant speculation, of course. The videos of Nick Chubb doing the powerlifting as the bar is bending and unbelievable,
Yeah.
unbelievable. And it seems like he is on course to make a return at some point during the season, and hopefully he can do so and make an impact as his former self in such a dominating fashion. They desperately need that, regardless of whether the offense shifts a little bit more toward the pass. If you've got someone who's an effective runner, they're going to take advantage of it. And when defenses are having to worry about the passing game and can't load the box, that's going to make it all the more effective. So we shall see there. So, Mike, I think I've shared a few things here, but and I'm starting to get old here. But so while I'm catching my breath, can you tell me, sir, what are you too old for this week? What got
The
you too old
heat.
for this?
The heat. It is so damn hot and humid. Like, I know we live on the East Coast now, but not just here, like everywhere. Back in my 20s, it'd be this hot, and I'd go out like, no big deal. I'll go out and do a 3 mile run. I'll be fine. Now I'm walking to the train station and I'm dripping sweat at 7 in the morning. Like, what happened? No,
Oh,
I can use a break from that.
yeah, I agree. I sincerely agree. I have been forcing myself. Yesterday, I forced myself to get up early and go out and take a walk. And then I took a walk in the evening, after the sun had gone down or was almost all down, and it was still very hot. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Well, what I've figured out that I'm too old for this week, I don't know. Have your boys? Are they getting into the video games?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so all I heard this week is the talk about NCAA college football 25 coming out for the first time in a decade now that they got all the name, image, likeness stuff taken
Mhm.
care of. And it was funny to me, and I'm too old for this moment, is when everybody's talking about downloading the game. I don't like downloads. Give me my physical copy.
You want to blow on the disc and have to insert it back
Yes,
in to make it work, right?
exactly. Exactly. I want the physical disc. I assume things are on like a cloud, and if you've made the purchase, if something were to happen to your system, you could recover it. But something to me, I like the comfort of the disc, and I'm proud of myself in my oldness that I've passed that along to Jacob. Um, NCAA, you wouldn't believe. We had an Xbox One that we got during the pandemic. Yeah, NCAA college football not being offered on that platform. So he's using his bar mitzvah money from last year, and we have ordered him a new Xbox and the NCAA college football, and I'm sure he'll be getting Madden in the near future. But again, digital downloads, I'm too old for that.
I need updates on if you can beat him in Madden when the system and the game arrives, or is he already eclipsed you in Madden skill level?
Okay, all right. Well, you know what? Off the hip here, I'm going to tell you real quick. Um, he really got into, and last year he had been playing an older version of Madden that I had bought a few years back. And then last year, for his birthday, that was one of his birthday gifts, was to get the new Madden. And he plays it and plays it. So we played a few times and he was kind of kicking my butt, right? But then I figured him out. I watched him play and I figured out a strategy, and we're pretty even, and I can take him. So he's good enough to beat me. I'm not going to deny it. It happened. It was a sad day. It was a very sad day for me. But I think that I got mind control. I got mind control on him. So.
Strategy, I like it.
Exactly. Got to use my wisdom here. All right. And so, Mike, why don't you tell me what has you going nuclear this week?
Well, I guess kind of on the Joe Buck trend, it is the national coverage of Jose Ramirez, and it happened again during the home run derby. Well, they're all just denigrating him for, nobody's talking about him. He's this 5'9" guy. He can't hit it past 425 feet. He's never going to get that extra out that they get if they hit it that distance. Well, guess what? In the first round, he was tied for the most home runs. Who cares if they went 320 feet or 420 feet? He, nobody's talking about him as a superstar that they should be talking about him. And it just, got me thinking about it again in the home run derby because they did the exact same thing again. And he outlasted, Pete Alonso and all these other guys to make it to the second round. And he's about, at one day he'll become the all-time home run leader in, Guardians history. So he needs to get more national news coverage and more national respect.
Absolutely. I think that you're right on. And hopefully, if nothing else, his good showing will prove to give further exposure for fans that don't already know about the Cleveland Guardians and Jose Ramirez and what an amazing player he is. And when we're making our run to the World Series, they're going to be forced to know. They're going to be forced to know. So what's got me going nuclear this week is that I'm trying to think, like, nothing in life is free anymore. So as I was texting you earlier this week or emailing you, our stream, this podcast, we've got a YouTube channel, and that's all well and good. And I pay for a product to stream the podcast to multiple platforms. Well, first, I get a notification from the fine folks at Facebook that basically are like, if you don't have enough followers for your page, you can't live stream. So I'm like, all right, well, there goes the Going nuCLEar Facebook page. Okay, we're still good. We're still good. Now comes the hammer got dropped on me from Twitter, from X, formerly known as Twitter. So apparently that turd Elon Musk isn't rich enough. And now, in order to stream live, you have to pay for the premium. You got to pay $11 freaking a month for your video to be shown. Sorry, I'm not going to. I love doing this, and I'm hoping people are going to find, and they're going to like, and they're going to subscribe to our channel, the Going nuCLEar on YouTube, and are going to follow our videos and podcasts, and are going to enjoy our content, because it's a darn shame. This clown came into Twitter and ruined it. He ruined it. He comes in and decides everyone can get a check mark. You jackalope. People who had a check mark because they needed to. You needed to know who the real people were. It wasn't just about buying it, you jack. I mean, there were so many different ways that this chucklehead could have done something right. Instead, he's out there designing a trash can on wheels and calls it a Cybertruck. And donating $45 million to that orangutan. All right? So what has me going nuclear is that imbecile Elon Musk and Twitter. And I could only hope that somebody out there comes up with something better that is able to take over the landscape, and I never hear from that goofball again. And that, Mike, is what has me going nuclear this week.
All right.
Okay, I feel much better.
Good. I'm glad you got that out.
I
needed that.
I did need that. All right, folks. Well, Mike, as always, a pleasure. So for Mike Rasinski, I'm Ethan Greenberg.